Okay, here's page 2, which continues with chapter 5.5 and continues with this idea of point slope. But this time, instead of giving you the point and the slope, you're given 2 points. You don't get the slope, but you get twice as many points as you got before, so there's some benefit. So let's look at what I would suggest that you do. Well, first of all, you need that slope. So I'm going to move this a little over this way. Let's see how this works. Yeah, this ought to work. Slopes rise over run. Rise over run is the difference in the y's divided by the difference in the x's. So an easy way is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Well, that means you're doing 3 minus 5 divided by 1 minus 0. Just look back here. You're doing 3 minus 5 divided by 1 minus 0. 3 minus 5 is negative 2. 1 minus 0 is 1. And so your slope is negative 2. And I just plug that in to the point slope formula. Remember, the point slope formula says y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x1. And there's that slope right there. Okay, so now let's get rid of this box. It's not doing anything anymore except getting in my way. And now I plug in. I plug in either of these points. It doesn't matter which one. I think I picked 0.5 if I remember right. And I just plugged it right into the formula. So now instead of y minus y1, it becomes y minus 5 equals negative 2. That's the slope, x minus 0. And, oh, I actually did both. So this one is a perfectly good answer. They asked you for write the equation. Well, there's an equation. But if you picked the other point, 1, 3, and plugged it in, here's the other answer you would have gotten. So that's the answer to the first one on this page. Next one. Now we go to another word problem. Here we're talking about the price of vinyl record albums. In 1972, now remember, first of all, I said big numbers like 1,972 become a pain to deal with, even with a calculator, let alone by hand. Why not make that year 0? So then 1992 becomes year 20. It's 20 years later. And 2022 becomes year 50. So in 1972, if year is x, price is y. So in year 0, y is 3. So 0, 3 is one of your points. Remember, 1992 is 20. So 20, 8 is another one of your points. And now you're trying to figure out what the y value is going to be when x is 50. So that's a lot to try to keep straight in your head. Maybe it makes sense to make a table. So that's what I did here. Year's x, price is y, 0 goes with 3, 20, year 20 goes with $8, and year 50, well, that's what we don't know. But we do know slope. Slope, again, is change. Change is rise over run. It's the difference in the y's minus the difference in the x's. Okay, so there's my difference in y's, 8 minus 3, 8 minus 3. And my difference in x's is 20 minus 0. 8 minus 3 is 5, 20 minus 0 is 20. 5 over 20 can be simplified into 1/4. Now I've got slope. And I can plug that in to whatever form of the equation I want, such as y equals mx plus b. And I don't know, it looks like I've erased it here, but that was supposed to be 1/4 there. So it should be y equals 1/4 x plus b. And now I can plug in, speaking of plug in, I can plug in the coordinates of a point. Well, I've got 2 here to work with, 0, 3, and 28. I always like working with the ones that have 0 in them. They tend to be easier. So I get 3 equals 1/4. Remember, that's the slope from over here. It was supposed to be written there, but got erased. Times 0 plus b. Now I can solve for b. 1/4 times 0 is nothing. So that means 3 is b. And that's all I need. Remember, all I need for y equals mx plus b is b, that y-intercept, plus slope. This is from the very first question of the packet. I've got slope, I've got y-intercept, I've got my formula, y equals 1/4 x plus 3. I'm not sure what else is that arrow could be pointing at. Oh, yes. I'm sorry, I wasn't asked for the equation. Silly me. I was asked, what do you predict the price will be in year 2022? That's right. So now I plug in 50 for my year now that I have my equation. Well, 1/4 of 50 you might need a calculator to figure out, but it turns out to be 12 1/2. 1/4 times 50 turns out to be 12.5, and 12.5 plus 3 is 15.5. $15.50 is usually just called $15.50. And that's your answer to this word problem. In the year 2022, you would predict that the price of an album would be $15.50. Next problem. Switching to 5.2, you may remember we bounced around in the textbook at the beginning, and we went from 5.1 ahead to 5.5 and now back to 5.2. Slope-intercept form, but this time I'm given the slope and I'm given a point. I just plug it in. I know that I'm going to have y equals -1x plus b, because that's my slope, and I can plug in this point too. And I get, whoops, looks like I got the answer written down before I've got the information. Let's just uncover this box. I plug in my 3, 5. I've got 5 is equal to my slope -1 times 3 plus b. -1 times 3 is -3. I move that over, and I'm going to turn out to find that b is 8. Now I've got the two pieces I need, slope and b. And my equation, y equals -1x plus 8. That's the answer to that one. And I've got a next question now talking about parallel lines. You need to remember that a parallel line has the same slope as the one it's parallel to. So my new line will also have a slope of 5. This 2 is going to go away. The 2 is useless to me. I cannot make use of that 2. But I can use the fact that my new line is going to go through 3, 2. So just like the last problem, remember the last problem, I had slope and a point. Well, actually, this time I have slope and a point too. I'm stealing this slope, 5, from the other line, the parallel line, and combining it with that point. Now it's just going to work the same way as the last problem. Slope's 5. I put it in, I get y equals 5x plus b. And then, let's see, let's do it this way. I plug in my 3, 2. I get 2 equals slope times 3. Or in other words, 2 equals 15 plus b. I move the 15 over, and I end up finding out that b is 13. And now I've got my two pieces, slope and b, slope and the y-intercept. And there's my equation. I just put those two pieces together. Y equals 5x minus 13. Remember, b was at -13. Oops. Sorry about that. Put that back where it belonged. And that's it. That's the end of that page. We'll move on to page 3 with the next video.